Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to say the utmost gratitude towards God for letting us together in today's event with good and stable state of health. I also would like to extend my appreciation to all of our esteemed guests and participants in attendance in today's event. First of all, allow me to introduce myself. I am Andrian Fauzi, Koika Awardee 2017 from Seoul National University, and now currently I'm working at the Cabinet Secretariat of the Republic of Indonesia. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to be your host for this event. Well, to begin with, let me greet our special guest. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to His Excellency Mr. Lee Jong-wook, Deputy Country Director Koika Indonesia Office, the Honorable Mr. Surat Indrijaso, Chairman of KOSA Supervisory Board, the Honorable Mr. Foster Gultom, Senior Diplomat at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, former Indonesian Ambassador to the Republic of Kazakhstan and Tajikistan 2012 to 2017. The Honorable Mr. Pamintu, Assistant Director of External Relations of Division 1, ASEAN Secretariat. The Honorable Mr. Gogot Suharwoto, Education Attaché at Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Seoul. The Honorable Mr. Denis Nagara, President of ASEAN Korea Frontier Forum Community 2023, ASEAN Republic of Korea Youth Ambassador. And last but not least, all beloved Koika Scholarship alumni from all around ASEAN countries, and to all our esteemed guests and participants of this event. How are you, good people? I hope all of you stay fit and enthusiastic in this event. Thank you for your attendance in ASEAN Republic of Korea Dialogue, ASEAN Matters Epicentrum of Crowd, today in Pullman Hotel, Jakarta. On this special event, we have several agendas as follow. First, we will witness welcoming remarks from Chairman of KOSA Supervisory Board, Mr. Surat Indrijarso, which will be followed by an opening remarks from Mr. Lee Jong-wook, Deputy Country Director Koika Indonesia Office. Afterwards, we will have ASEAN-ROK Dialogue panel moderated by Mr. Evan Pujongo, which is then followed by discussion and Q&A session. And at the end, we will have the most weighted agenda, door prize session. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin today's event with welcoming remarks. We would like to invite Mr. Surat Indrijarso, Chairman of KOSA Supervisory Board, to deliver welcoming remarks. Mr. Surat Indrijarso, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, selamat siang, distinguished guests, all alumni, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me briefly introduce myself. I am Surat Indrijarso. Currently, I work as a main expert on the advisory board of the National Research and Innovation Agency, and we call it BRIN, and head of the supervisory board of Koika Scholarship Alumni, KOSA. It is my great honor to be here this afternoon to attend this prestigious event, which is the ASEAN and the Republic of Korea Dialogue. Epicentrum of growth at Pullman Hotel, Tamrin, Jakarta. On this occasion, I respectfully welcome all alumni from ASEAN countries and all distinguished speakers. Allow me to tender my gratitude to each of every one of you for spending your valuable time with us today. We know that it takes a lot to take some time out of our busy schedule and come over, but I believe that this experience and meeting your friend here will be worth the time you all have spared. I'm very proud to see how KOICA has supported more than 3,600 alumni from different ministries, institutions, and universities who work at national and regional level, as well as from various NGO. I'm confident that our alumni have created meaningful impacts and reached great success in their respective profession. The alumni network becomes more important, not only for KOICA, but among the alumni themselves. It is indeed a work of intelligent, inspiring, and competitive people. For this opportunity, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to KOICA Indonesia office, which continuously support KOICA alumni with the annual activities. Our alumni and KOICA programs aim to contribute to social and economic development, as well as to strengthen the relationship between Korea and other partner countries in the years to come. It is my sincere hope that today we may have the chance to play a role in achieving those goals. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to this event. I hope today's event will be an auspicious opportunity for us to understand and enrich our knowledge to strengthen cooperation between Korea and all the ASEAN countries. I wish you all an enjoyable day. Thank you.
Thank you for the welcoming remarks, Mr. Surat Indrijarso. Moving right on, now we have an opening remarks from Mr. Lee Jong-wook, Deputy Country Director, KOICA Indonesia Office. Mr. Lee Jong-wook, the floor is yours.
Ya, selamat siang, assalamualaikum. Mr. Surat Indri Jarso, as chairman of KOSA Supervisory Board, who is from National Research and Innovation Agency as main expert, and Mr. Foster Gultom, Senior Diplomat, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Mr. Gotot Suharwoto, the Attaché Education from Indonesian Embassy in Seoul, Korea, and Mr. Pham Min Tu, Assistant Director of External Relation Division from ASEAN Secretariat, and Mr. Deris Nagara, Korea ASEAN Youth Ambassador. All the alumni, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to take part in the ASEAN-ROK dialogue hosted by KOICA Scholarship alumni, KOSA, today. I am Jung-wook Lee, Deputy Country Director of KOICA Indonesia office. KOICA, yep. I would like to thank all of you for participating in this event with us today. My special gratitude goes to KOSA for organizing the Republic of Korea and ASEAN dialogue, and all the speakers who will give us the information of the good relationship between Republic of Korea and ASEAN. On behalf of Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA supports Republic of Indonesia to enhance the effectiveness of Republic of Korea's grant aid programs like development projects, World Friends Korea Volunteer Program, SEAT Capacity Building Training Program, Public-Private Partners Program, and Digital Release Program as well. Through training and scholarship, the program is to share the important technical skills and knowledge, as well as to build the capacity for sustainable socio-economic development. As the chairman of ASEAN in 2023, Indonesia is expected to share the organization's efforts in addressing regional and global challenges, also deepen the cooperation across multiple sectors. This also includes how ASEAN countries could strengthen the relationship with the Republic of Korea. So, KOSA organized this event today with this purpose. KOICA Indonesia hopes that we can promote the awareness among KOICA alumni and the relevant government officials regarding relationship between Republic of Korea and ASEAN. I hope that this event can facilitate a sharing session among KOICA alumni who are also relevant government officials, and will have the upcoming good positions. They will have a deepened knowledge of the relationship of Republic of Korea and ASEAN, and they can get the information from the speakers who are representatives from their respective institutions. I would like to say thank you all for coming here today, and also who joined this event by online to share and get insights from the dialogue. So yeah, I hope today's event is meaningful and we can make fruitful results today. So yeah, thank you so much. Terima kasih. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lee Jong-wook, for the opening remarks. We proceed to the next agenda, our main agenda, ASEAN Republic of Korea Dialogue. This dialogue will moderated by Mr. Evan Pujongo. Before we begin the dialogue, let me introduce ourselves, our moderator. Mr. Evan Pujongo, KOICA awardee 2011, graduated from Sungkyun Kwan University. Mr. Evan currently working for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a diplomat specialist in development economics, especially on digital economy issues, environment and sustainability, trade and market access, grants and development cooperation, industrial development, investment, and human resource development. Is Asia region specialist. Currently, Mr. Evan serving at the Directorate of Development, Economy, and Environment, and previously served as part of the G20 Indonesia Leadership Task Force for 2021-2022. Without further ado, please come to the stage, Mr. Evan Pujongo.
Check so okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, the MC, for introducing me. Before I begin, I would like to introduce a message from the committee that we provide the interpretation service through Zoom. So if anyone would like to have interpretation between Indonesia and English, you can join through Zoom because right there you can also use the chat room as well for question and answer session later. So as already introduced by the MC, I am also the KOICA alumni and I'm working in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And today we are honored to be joined by distinctive speakers, not only from Indonesia, but also joining us online, other speakers in other parts of the world. So allow me to introduce our speaker one by one. First, please welcome the ambassador, the former ambassador of Indonesia to the Republic of Kazakhstan and Tajikistan, 2012-2017, His Excellency Ambassador Foster Gultom. Welcome, Pak. It is truly an honor to have one of the Indonesia's seasoned diplomats who now serves as the senior diplomat advising the Director General of ASEAN Cooperation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, directly advising for the Indonesia ASEAN Chairmanship 2023. And his presence here would certainly be invaluable to share his wisdom for today's event. Second, let us also welcome the Assistant Director of External Relations Division 1 of the ASEAN Secretariat, Mr. Pham Minh Tu. Please join us at the stage, sir. So as we know, the External Relations Division of the ASEAN Secretariat is managing the all ASEAN partners, including the dialogue partners, the sectoral dialogue partners, as well as development partners. So thank you very much for joining us live here. I will join you sitting. And we also have two other speakers joining us online. For the next speaker joining us online from Seoul, the Education and Culture Attaché of the Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia in Seoul, Mr. Gogot Soharwoto. Please give a round of applause. Can we see Mr. Gogot's face maybe on the screen so we can check whether he's already connected with us? Hello, Mr. Gogot. Okay, maybe you're still on mute. Can you? Okay. Oh, okay. The committee already informed us that there's a technical problem. We cannot hear you right now, but hopefully the committee could fix as soon as possible. And Mr. Gogot is working to manage collaboration of research, science, and technology between Indonesia and Korean universities, establish and promote Indonesian language as a foreign language, as well as promote Indonesian culture in Korea. Welcome, Mr. Gogot. And last but not least, also joining us online from New York, the President of ASEAN-Korea Frontier Forum Community 2023 and the ASEAN-ROK Youth Ambassador, Mr. Dennis Nagara. Please welcome Mr. Dennis Nagara. Is he joining us already, or on process of joining us? So hopefully he can join us soon. Let me introduce his CV. We are lucky that Dennis here is actually one of the few young generation who is actively advancing youth empowerment, community development, and education quality. He managed to rack up hefty lists of international experience and awards. And for those of you who seeks inspiration and just want to get to know better of our speaker, Dennis Nagara, I guess you can follow or befriend one of his social medias. So is he already online? Can the committee check? Still not yet. But so hopefully our last speaker can join us as soon as possible. But not to further prolong this event, so I would like to start with the rule of the game, or may I say the nuance of the dialogue. So everyone, this is going to be a sofa talk, and we are not going to have a strictly formal dialogue. So I hope we can have open exchange of views between our speakers. Wherever possible, if any of our speakers feel the need to intervene or ask questions in the middle of other speakers' explanation. Oh, Dennis already joining us. Hello, Dennis.
Hi, Jorge. Good morning from New York City.
Good morning, Dennis. Thank you very much for making time joining us. Hopefully the connection is good enough. Okay, yeah.
Yes,
So
it is good.
So
Thank you.
we already start the event, and I already introduced three other speakers as well. We have the ambassador Foster Gultom, as well as the assistant director of the ASEAN Secretariat, Mr. Pham. May I call you Mr. Pham? Yes. As well as Mr. Gogot, the education and culture attaché from the Indonesian Embassy in Seoul. So again, let me continue with the reading the rule of the game. So it's going to be informal one. I want to have a healthy debate among speakers, so we are not going to have a strictly question and answer. So without further ado, I would like to begin the dialogue with a warm-up question. So let's try to get relaxed here, and because we are talking about the theme is ASEAN-ROK dialogue, ASEAN matters, epicentrum of growth, which is the theme of the ASEAN Chairmanship 2023. So my first question, will be going to every speaker, is that we have plenty of ways to interpret this theme, especially particularly on how to read the ASEAN matters. You know, if we want to read ASEAN matters, we can say we are talking about the matters of ASEAN, or we can talk about that ASEAN does matter. So there's sort of like ambiguity here, and my question would be, how do you interpret ASEAN matters and why? And usually the moderator would give the first floor to the most senior one, Mr. Ambassador, with all due respect, with your permission as well. I would like to give first this question to the most junior speaker here, because of course, Ambassador, I believe you are the most prominent speaker who know actually what this theme means. So I would like to give you the last to speak. I'm sorry, sir. And so, Dennis, if you're still listening to us, could you please begin by answering the question, how do you interpret ASEAN matters and why?
Hi. First of all, I'd say thank you very much, and it's such an honor for me to be here. And good morning to all of you, and ambassadors, and your excellencies, and all the delegates, the audience. So my name is Teres Nagara, as maybe the moderators, Mr. Evan already mentions and introduced me. I'm also currently serving as the president of ASEAN RK Frontier Forum Community, and also the ASEAN RK Youth Ambassadors. For me, I do believe that the ASEAN matters in this case is more talking about from my perspective, it's more like ASEAN one, how we would like to see like the three pillars that we would like to focus on. For example, like the political security, social culture, and also economic. Because with these matters and pillars, we believe we like to enhance our cooperations between ASEAN countries and also to open any cooperation. For example, this one for ASEAN in Korea. And with all due respect that in these matters, we see that more than like 30 years we have bilaterals and also regional cooperation between ASEAN and Korea, and we like to foster more diplomatic relations, not only for the government sectors, but also we would like to improve the foster cooperation between the youth itself. That's why, like, I do believe the ASEAN matters with all the pillars. It could affect more like into people-to-people exchange between ASEAN and RK, and how we like to reach more youth to collaborate and participate. And we know that it's called like youth participation and mainstreaming on how the ASEAN-RK youth can be enabled to join every of the agenda of the ASEAN matters itself. Thank you.
So you do believe that it talks about the matters of ASEAN in all three pillars instead of like
Yeah.
focusing that, yeah. Okay, great. So let me go now to Mr. Pham from the ASEAN Secretariat, because you as well working very closely with the ASEAN chairmanship. How do you interpret this theme of ASEAN matters?
Good, good afternoon. No, afternoon. Yes, afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to be able to participate in this forum, kind of open discussion, which is I find interesting. As I had been introduced, my name is Pham Minh Thư, and I'm the head of the external relation, which is in charge of ASEAN relation with some dialogue partner, including ASEAN Korea. And I have been overseeing ASEAN Korea relation for quite a number of years. On this particular question, I think Bapak here should be in a much better position to answer this question. But anyhow, my interpretation of the ASEAN matter is that it actually is reflect the vision and also the willingness of ASEAN to be very relevant and play an important role in all the aspects of our regional affairs, including in maintaining peace, security, and promoting economic growth, and also in building community sustainable development community in not only in this Southeast Asia but in a wider region. Nowadays we're talking a lot about Indo-Pacific region, so that is what ASEAN envision, and ASEAN is willing to do, to play that role in the region. And of course, it's also involving in this context is about the strengthening of ASEAN mechanisms, including the ASEAN cooperation with our dialogue partner, including ASEAN Korea relation, strengthening all those existing mechanisms in order for ASEAN to be able to play the role, to prove its relevant and play a very central role in the development of our region. That's what my take. Thank you.
So, Mr. Pham, you are having a sense that there is an effort to make ASEAN matters, right? Or so you believe that ASEAN does matter? Yes, great. So now, before, of course, going to the ambassador, it would be a hard miss if I don't ask Mr. Gogot. Mr. Gogot, can you join us now already?
I already joined.
Okay, great. Now we can hear you. Sorry for the technical problem at first. Mr. Gogot, it's still the same question. How do you interpret ASEAN matters?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting us from the Embassy of Indonesia in Seoul. As our position being the chairmanship of ASEAN, I think is already clearly stated by Ministry of Foreign Affairs during the summit before. So actually, treating like the pillar of ASEAN chairmanship, just also being mentioned before, but which is yes, we believe ASEAN do really matters, especially in connection with Korea. Uh, Three things because at this moment we have a lot of collaboration. Actually, ASEAN and Korea is not just now. It's been a long time. Korean supporting Asian, especially Indonesia. So, what it means, ASEAN matters for me, especially, is actually emphasizing that the long working collaboration is actually a very good foundation, to support our future goal, basically in achieving the ASEAN as epicentrum of growth, and also a long-standing collaboration. ASEAN and Korea also become the driving force that we all can achieve the sustainable development goal by 2030. So, in my opinion, that ASEAN matters is actually, it's not just now. Yeah, it's actually being actually just to emphasize that we need to keep working so that the collaboration between ASEAN and Korea, especially in Indonesia, and also for this year is special because Indonesia and Korea, we are celebrating 50 years of Indonesia-Korea bilateral relation. So ASEAN matters is not only economic but also in education, in culture, science, and technology. So that's what I understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gogot, for a very elaborate answer. So now it goes all to you, Mr. Ambassador. You have heard how people interpret this. Like we talk about matters of the pillars of ASEAN. We talk about the sense that ASEAN wants has to be matter. Is it really this way that the message that Indonesian government would like to bring with this team in its ASEAN chairmanship? Could you please elaborate and explain what is the true meaning of this team?
Well, of course, first of all, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation for KOICA as well as KOSA, to already organizing this event. And it is, of course, timely that we talk about the theme of the ASEAN chairmanship for this year. If we talk about the theme, we are, of course, considering from various aspects of interest, and it is, of course, not because of we propose the theme according just only for Indonesians' national interest, but on how we can also grasp the whole ASEAN member states' enthusiasm on the aspect of gaining momentum in the, maybe the exit of the pandemic. If we look back from at least a couple of years before, Brunei Darussalam started the theme with the we care, we prepare, we prosper. Because of what? Because during that time, the pandemic, COVID, is very, harmful and also very heavy, and it's just already affected not only the region in the Asia, but also the whole world in the globe. So on how when we started in 2020's pandemic of COVID, there are all people in the world, in other areas of the continent, they rush in finding out and looking for the mask, and then also for any other protective, stuff that they may have to avoid and then to deal with this very deadly virus. So it already becoming, the issue not only for the region. And those affected not only for the economic aspect of the world, they all turned down into the situation that creating the crisis, and even we call it the above the recession, not only the depression, even in some other. Even now we still having the kind of remnants that is the high, inflation, and also that so far we cannot, of course, easily to manage well again from the situation that before the pandemic occurred in 2022 and in the 2020 and before. So later, Cambodian also still be in under the situation that lockdown everywhere, the travel industries, they're also having affected badly, and they trying to engage more. How could ASEAN addressing the challenges together, and addressing the challenges still going on during the 2022. It is also not easy, even though some of meetings them cannot be made like us now, the hybrid one, but only solely by feature. But it is the other side of the beneficial, for the, we can get the benefit from the advancement of the technology or information communication, so now it's already like common, and also the habit for the us, even though in the schools, in university, they can, the process of education, learning, and also, teaching can be done by virtual, and it's normal. Now people will adjust themselves, with the new normal that we call. So we are in the situation, of course, compared to another region, a little bit better. in terms of the economic growth in the ASEAN, especially in the Southeast Asia, we still above the average of the GDP, of the world. Even though they of course contracting, of the economic in Europe, and now added into the situation of geopolitical aspect like Russia and Ukraine, and involving also the situation in Europe for distribution of the oil and gas, and is affected also the sum of population in many countries such as Africa for, the consumption of grain, from Ukraine and Russia. That's becoming, of course, really come into our mind, especially our leaders, what we can do, to help those situations, not only in our region, but also beyond our region. In our region, because we have already well-established relationship. We have already established collaboration between ASEAN and the dialogue partners. Now 11 dialogue partners, Mr. Tun, with the UK now joining, and even now ASEAN is becoming 11 as well, with the inclusion of Timor-Leste. So this is again the situation. There are plus and minus of it in terms of economic, appearance of the ASEAN, but also on the challenges that we are facing of this geopolitical situation, not far away from the Europe part, but also in our region, situation in peninsula, in the Taiwan Strait, and not without mentioning about the South China Sea situation. So that's why during our presidency of G20, we would like to grasp all of the members, participant G20, which is the 20th biggest economic, GDP in the world. Yeah. So we can sit together. So that's why our team in the G20, we appeal for all of our members to work together and getting stronger together without just only for the other part, Western Hemisphere, or even in our Far East, region, as well as in the Southeast Asian region. But we would like to have it. So that's why we followed it up, because after 2022, then we also take over the chairmanship of ASEAN, just like 10 years ago, 2011. And of course, there was the dynamic aspect between 2011 and also now 2023, So that's why we would like to also give a clue for us. Hey, look, we are a little bit fortunate, in our region. We can keep up with our economic conditions because of our leadership. Yeah, all of the ASEAN leaders and all of the, of course, their subordinates, and also our collaboration with our partners, including with the ROK, because we can sharing and exchange, of what we can do for us to cope with the, the continued or if we can see the proceedings of the pandemic. We are not still having this situation, the pandemic aspect, but we are, according to WHO, we are now okay. We can free, we can open without masks and everything. We can deal, but still we can in vigilant, on that, and also for learning for the next, possible other pandemic maybe. We are in the region is already having that SARS, the H5N1, the bird flu, the other swine flu, and now we have, and maybe who knows next year. But for this year and beyond, we are expecting that ASEAN, together with our partners, the 11 partners, which are almost all of them members of the G20, it means that they could contribute, to, of course, settle down with the unfortunate people or community, international community in other region. And we are together also with the others, G7 and G20, to deal with the issue of what happened now in Europe, for instance, in order to smoothen again, to take the track back into the normal situation for the distributions of the food security, energy security, and also health situation for us. So that's why we are not like a jargon of our arrogance. It seems like, epicentrum of growth. It seems that, how what? Epicentrum of growth? How do you think you are? Because the epicentrum of growth is not only in the ASEAN, but also maybe the other countries, our partners also may mention that they're also part of the epicentrum of growth. But we are just going to appeal for within us in our making our very strongest solidarity, and also appealing with all of our dialogue partners to work together. So that's why we still keep up with the continued, program. Before the 2021, we care, we share, and then we address together, 2022, as well as the G20. We will, getting stronger together as well. And now, let's do, what's the other program that already put well in place in the previous at least 3 years, before we can execute, for us. And because another thing, we will also, now charting out of the post ASEAN Community 2025 for another 20 years or, you know, and how could we, you know, proceed with this situation? Yeah, dealing with the geopolitical aspect, economic as well as socio-cultural aspect, especially in the identity of the ASEAN. So now we encourage this identity. Okay, that's just my for the preliminary.
Yeah. So, Ambassador, may I say, summarizing your answer, that Indonesia is trying to plan its vision for a stronger ASEAN. Is it a yes or no?
Well, of course, that's only for Indonesia. Of course, we are going together with other member states and with the contribution of the other partners. Yeah. But of course, we are all having in our mind the same or the common, you know, perception that is the term of ASEAN-led mechanism, yes, ASEAN centrality. You know, we are still working on that. How could because sometimes within the internal or intra-ASEAN itself, there's going to be other issues that could be, you know, well managed, you know, especially now currently in ASEAN, in other countries like Myanmar, yeah, and some others.
Great. Now, let me go to Mr. Pham. Now that you already heard the explanation about the team, now working in the external relation division, dealing with the development partners, the dialogue partners, the sectoral dialogue partners. What do you think is the priority to actually fulfill this vision of this team of Indonesia chairmanship in ASEAN? What do you think is the priority, and how dialogue partners actually could contribute to fulfill this vision? Please, Mr. Pham.
That's not an easy question to answer. Yeah, but of course I want to go from the starting point that ASEAN external relation or ASEAN relation with our partner. Now we have 11 dialogue partner, and we have also a number of development partner and sectoral partner. So one of the main purpose of those relation with the partner is actually to support ASEAN, to support ASEAN community building and integration, and basically to support all the priority of ASEAN. So this year of ASEAN priority, as has been emphasized by our ambassador, ASEAN Matter and ASEAN Epicentrum of Growth. So of course the dialogue partner have a lot of things to do. Actually, they all we're working very well, and the dialogue partner also working to support ASEAN priority of this year. Basically, ASEAN Matters and Epicentrum of Growth is to overcome all the challenges in the many areas, ranging from from security to the economic, the possibility of economic recession, and many other aspects. Yeah. So dialogue partner and ASEAN, we have a lot of mechanism. Yeah. Maybe I just want to say that the dialogue partner is supportive of ASEAN theme and priority of this year, and we are working through various mechanism to contribute to the priority and deliverable of the years. For example, we're talking about epicentrum of growth. Basically, it means that ASEAN is not only geographically placed at the center, but also play a very central role in promoting growth in the region. So For example, one of the very major initiative of ASEAN is the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which is involving all 10 ASEAN countries and 5 major dialogue partners of ASEAN. And that and promote and that was entered into force earlier, last year. So, promoting the implementation of this regional economic comprehensive partnership is very important to boost trade and growth in the region, especially in the post-COVID pandemic recovery. So all the dialogue partners actually are working very well with ASEAN in order to do that, in order to boost the economic growth. And then, of course, epicentrum of growth in ASEAN matter also related very much to sustainable development. And actually that is also one of the priority between ASEAN and the dialogue partner, not only between ASEAN and Korea, but actually with many dialogue partners. Sustainable development, we're talking about, for example, addressing the climate change issues or transition to neutral to carbon or blue economy, green circular economy. So those are also one the priority of cooperation between ASEAN and dialogue partner. So this year, for example, Indonesia, one of the deliverable priority area is food, agricultural development, and food security. Between ASEAN and China, for example, we also have this year is designated as the years of ASEAN-China agricultural development and food security cooperation. So actually, they very much in line with and they complement the priority of Indonesian chairmanship. I just take one example, but with other dialogue partners are also the same. So basically, I just want to say that yes, the dialogue partner, they're supportive of the theme of Indonesian chairmanship, and they're supportive of priority of ASEAN this year. And there have been many programs and big project being carried out between ASEAN and dialogue partner to support those achievement of this year. Just generally, it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pham. Your answer is quite comprehensive for a difficult question. So now let me go to Mr. Gogot. Mr. Gogot, short question first. How long have you been in Seoul? Mr. Gogot, are you still joining us online? Not yet. Okay. So let me go to Dennis then. Dennis, are you online?
Yes, Darius is here.
Yes, great. So you have heard and you previously also talked about ASEAN matters in all 3 pillars. Have you ever, as a youth representative, feels like you are drowned in this all of matters, like youth is right now is being drowned in so many global problems, world issues, and feel like you don't have any voice? Or how do you feel as youth representative?
I do believe that every single person has their own voices. That's why we need to be heard, we need to be seen, and our voices matters. At the youth itself, we represent our voices in order for social good and social causes that we would like to promote and advocate for, certain advocacy that we have. But then like during the global pandemic and also, the global challenges, the current and also future challenges we ever face now, somehow like we need also a platform to voice out and speak up about our matters. And in this regards, some of platform already being provided by the governments But however, we do believe that we need more like youth representative in order to voice out their voices, because somehow not all of the youth in this, a world cannot voice out their voices. And for example, like beside the ASEAN, we also have the UN Cost of Youth Forum, which I also represent Indonesia in that matters. Yeah, we would like to enhance the youth participations and youth mainstreaming on how we would like to do in policy making process, like how we would like to engage more youth in the decision making process in their national respective countries and member states. However, like some countries might also need to understand and also believe and give a trust to youth to voice out, to listen to them, because we also need to be heard and to be seen. We also, in the next generation, would like to lead our countries. But however, nowadays, like some of the government are already aware that yes, the youth are the key actors to lead the generation itself. So for instance, in ASEAN-Korea cooperations, as I mentioned before, like ASEAN, we call it ASEAN-Korea Frontier Forum, which established since 20, I think like 13 years ago, because we already have fostered cooperation between ASEAN and Korea for more than 13 years. It's actually under the organization called AEA, Asia Exchange Associations, and supported by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the Republic of Korea, and supported by the ASEAN-Korea Cooperation Fund. And in this discussions, forum dialogue, and also program, the AA, especially AKFF, already provide more platform for youth in ASEAN Korea to foster cooperations. For example, like we would like to enhance the people-to-people connections, cooperation, empowerment among the ASEAN Korea community. And as the mission of the AKFF as the youth representative and also the ASEAN Korea Youth Ambassadors and also the president of these organizations, we would like to promote sustainable cooperation among the ASEAN Korea community by creating an accessible platform to enhance the connection and promotion of such as but not limited to the ASEAN Korea community, and also engaging and fostering opportunities for ASEAN Korea community, and also activating the AKF alumni through a variety of empowering programs. But then, like looking now, the ASEAN matters, and also already, the theme of today's discussion is also the ASEAN summit itself. We do believe that fostering and strengthening the regional cooperations and regional resilience and connectivity as the foundation of survival is a matters, because like now ASEAN also need to be relevant, which means also to address the current and future challenges. And now the youth itself, like facing this kind of challenges, we also need the intergovernmental, multi-stakeholder, and also intergenerational approach, because like if the governments and also the other sectors who are from the older generations who do not have a trust to the young generation, how we would like to use our capacity and capability to speak up to certain costs and advocacy to run the programs that the government already have, because we also need their support, your support, in order to foster cooperation to implement the programs and localize the program. Now, in Indonesia, for example, we have more than 6 billion of youth Indonesia, and then we would like to have the window opportunity to face the bonus demographic and also the vision of 2045 Indonesia visions, and how we like to use this more than 20% populations of the youth in the population of Indonesia, especially for the youth, to use their talents, to use their voices to speak up and to raise the voice for the voiceless. Somehow, like we need more platforms and also support through the intergenerational approach and multi-stakeholders from the government that can support us in order to localize in the programs. And now, in order to have the SDGs, for example, 2030 and 2045 for Indonesia visions, we still have a time, but however, we also need certain like incubators programs, and then the youth centers and youth office on how we like to do the youth participation mainstreamings. Because now, if not the governments and also the older generations who also put a trust to the young generations who will do it. And because now as the youth, we also represent the voices, not only the youth, but also the next generation, which is the Generation Z, to voice out the advocacy that we would like to do. And last but not least, I think these are very important for also the all stakeholders in these matters to also be effective and more transformative, more creative, and also fast approach for the common good, as it also in line with the ASEAN matters for the episode of the growth itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Just a short question. Do you feel more like right now you feel like the youth against the government, or do you feel more like right now the government is more collaborating with the youth? And how do you see actually with what you're saying now about the condition, the situation, about the voice of the youth? How do you feel actually?
Oh, sorry. I do believe that we're not against the government. It's just like we also would like to raise some points on our voices to be also to be heard, to be seen. As for example, in United Nations ICASA Forum, ICASA Youth Forum, we also have a team like to be heard and to be seen, because not all of the youth in all over ASEAN and also other countries are already have the platforms and opportunity to speak out their voices and their rights. Because like we need also more, collaboration together. But as I represent the youth now, I do believe that now the governments and also youth are, collaborating to open more spaces for us to speak up. And but somehow we also need to find the way to enable more youth representative and also voices to be heard and to be trusted by the government itself. But for now, I do believe that we are running together because we are, stronger together and we are united as one.
Thank you, Dennis. Now, is Mr. Gogot already online? Can you hear us, Mr. Gogot?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So I would like to ask you a question. How long have you been in Seoul?
2 years now.
2 years now. So it's great now that I can give you this answer, this question. Do you, for 2 years in Seoul, in Korea, one of the dialogue partners of ASEAN, do you feel the presence of ASEAN there? And do you feel like ASEAN is actually being recognized there, or how do you feel?
Yeah, three things. One is actually when I was here in 2021, the Southern New Policy is still strongly supported by the previous president. So I have been approached by several research institute, university, and also the Ministry of Science, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Culture, that they are aiming to collaborate with Asian countries in ODA program, and also including KOICA. So just to mention for you also that I also actually alumni of KOICA. So that's why I'm very supportive of the KOICA project that's being conducted in Indonesia. First time ever that KOICA is implementing project in higher education with IPB and SNU, and also with UI, Universitas Indonesia, and Pacha University. So this is first one. Basically, stronger collaboration has been approached by all the ministries in Korea. So as an Asian countries, members of it. Secondly, we also encourage, so like one of the project that we have between SNU and IPB to involve other countries in Asia. So it's not only Indonesia, but also strengthening Indonesia and one or more Asian countries. So in 2024, IPB will collaborate with University of Timor-Leste, UTI, and to implement the project. So basically, not only strengthening Indonesia, but also ASEAN, other countries. And thirdly is because of the big growing market in Indonesia, especially in culture, entertainment, and Hallyu wave of Korean. So we also being approached to by several universities also that we are now implementing ODA project by Korean government, Ministry of Culture, to develop cultural center, in 6 cities in Indonesia. And the result of this creative content is not only being distributed in Indonesia, but also being distributed in Indonesia, in Korea. So that's what I can say. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Gogot. It's good to know that actually one of the Koika alumni is actually right now in Seoul and strengthening more cooperation between Indonesia and Korea, and even more pushing it to the ASEAN level. So I've heard that you have to leave quite early. So before saying goodbye, could you give a couple of closing remarks, like how do you think the future, how optimistic are you feeling about the relation between Korea and ASEAN?
Yeah, I really strongly, very enthusiastic, to see the future of ASEAN and Korean collaboration. Specifically, Korea has already ASEAN Cultural Center and also a cultural house. So these two center is actually the sign of the strong commitment of Korea, to support ASEAN and Korea relation. So, and lastly, just last year actually, in terms of investment, Indonesia, Vietnam become the largest, ASEAN now, so including Singapore and Malaysia and Thailand. Basically, Korea investing in Asian countries a lot. So what I'm expecting is not only investing in terms of infrastructure, but also technology and also human resources. So hopefully by the increase of investment in infrastructure will bring more technology and improving the quality of human resource in Indonesia and also, of course, in Asia also.
Thank you, Mr. Gogot. So please, everyone, give a round of applause to Mr. Gogot for taking his time joining us, and we may say goodbye to you and hope to see you again for another occasion. And also, I have heard that Dennis also is catching a flight. So before we see you go, Dennis, are you still there?
I'm still here. I still have, I think, 30 minutes.
Okay,
so
yeah. So
fine.
before we see you go,
the
please also share some of your closing remarks to us before we let you go. Please.
The closing remarks? Okay,
Yes.
sure. All right. As I agree that the youth are indispensable to achieving the SDGs, the ASEAN's priorities and agenda. As one of the young leaders in this agenda, I've witnessed how ASEAN have enormous potential as a catalyst to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and also the ASEAN priorities agenda. And in Indonesia, as I believe in other countries too, this potential of young people is vital, and in ensuring equal socio-economic developments and also others key pillars of the ASEAN itself across the nations. And it's most evident during the time of the COVID-19 pandemics and other current challenges, and also its recovery. While the unemployment remains a challenge in many countries, but I've seen how the youth have shown their resilience through innovations and entrepreneurship, and also, voice out and to speak up to and stand for their, causes. And I do believe that Indonesia has one national motto, which is called Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or unity in diversity, which means different but still one, that unite more than 1,340 ethnic groups, numerous religions, cultures, custom, communities, and language, but also to train the youth into political participation. Indonesia believe in the voice of the youth, and also at the other countries choose. And after dedicating 10 years of my experience to these issues, I think it's observable that the effort to build the peer-to-peer engagement into multilateral spaces and intergovernmental and intergenerational process are not easy way for us as a government, non-government actors, and also the youth itself. But however, I do believe it must be done through a strategic partnership with a multi-stakeholders and also intergenerational approach, as I mentioned before my speech. And I believe that it must these kind of programs, localization the agenda of ASEAN and between ASEAN Korea or ASEAN Plus to youth itself. As a youth myself, I've worked together with the governments, civil societies, organizations, private sector to deliver concrete action to local communities in remote areas that cannot be reached by them. And I'm glad to see how my work have resulted, in the development of educations, digitalizations, connectivity, and also other education sectors and rights that benefit more the students in Indonesia and also other ASEAN inspired in ASEAN youth itself. And I do believe that the things that we need also to hear about is how we would like um, to have more concrete ways for the intergenerational dialogue and solidarity that can improve the multilateral systems, regional cooperations, and peer-to-peer models engage youth as a partners, youth as the key and pivotal role to ensure that also the inclusion in this decision-making process, the youth mainstreamings. And some point that I would like to mention is how we would like to provide more opportunities for young people to participate in regional cooperations, multilateralism, for example, in ASEAN, and facilitate them, make them also, trust them, and also the other stakeholders to have more collaboration with the youth, with the strategic partnership, and also multi-stakeholder intergenerational approach. And having more intergenerational exchange and peer-to-peer models and provide alternative to top-down engagement strategies by bridging the divide between the youth and also the policymakers. Because now, if the policymakers already, provide more youth to their capacity and capability in that sense, they will also would like to use, their talents and also their voices to social causes and also for the good, and expose more local communities and youth to multilaterals and also regional relationship engagement program inclusively. Because like I do believe now so many youth are all over ASEAN, also across nations and also in Indonesia, um, having more engagement in their local perspective, local communities engagement. That's why like more youth are really enjoying the time in providing their actions and their voices in local communities. And now it's time for us to expose these local communities to multilateral strategies and engagement program inclusively. And last but not least from me, I think like accelerating the youth mainstreaming, which is a strategy for integrating young people into every aspect of our governments, organizations, our community, that including individuals in perspective and their shared cultures and all systems and structures that affect the young people. And last, I believe that youth political representation also must be considered to ensure the formal institutions such as parliaments, governments, agencies, youth council represents their interests, as also now, for example, like as I myself, as the ASEAN Korea Youth Ambassadors, and also joining the ASEAN Korea Frontier Forum community, and also one of the organizations that more into like providing the recommendations and active more on the programs that the government already made also. So we'd like to collaborate more. And young women, girls, indigenous, migrants, rural youth, and ensure inclusion of all the voices. If not us, who will continue the legacy of the bettering of our world? And if not now, when will we begin to play a pivotal role in the improvement of the world? Because like um, I'm remaining committed to this work to achieve the ASEAN key agendas and also SDGs with and for youth. I can, you can, we can. Echoing our voices and youth should be recognized and should also be heard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. That is a really nice word you put in the end. But can you hold on just a little bit, because now I would
Sure.
like to invite Ambassador Foster Gutom. As Ambassador, would you like to respond or give message from Ambassador to Youth Ambassador? Please, Ambassador.
Well, I would just like to pick up, a point very eloquently that Dennis pointed out, on how the role of the youth has to be also improved and enhanced, and especially, the other side of the system, yeah, within the ASEAN structure, the government side, as well as the other bodies should also entrusting, the role of youth in progressing all of the program and the vision under the ASEAN communities. So I think this is a very important things, So that's why we are, from maybe the last decade, we have already engaged the youth also during interfacing with the summit of the leaders. So beside the business people, we also invite the youth leaders also to face by face with the leaders of ASEAN to, bring about all of the ideas or proposal or what they can, recommend of the manifestation as well as how to execute, the program that already well taken place in the paper, yeah. And there are also, of course, the foundations like ASEAN Foundation and also within the ASEAN Secretariat who deals with the youth exchange, between the ASEAN internally as well as the externally with the dialogue partners. But those program and as well as the others, maybe work tasks, of task force of the dealing with the youth has to be maybe disseminate further, widely to not only to the ASEAN member state but also to our dialogue partners, because they can meet up with the, with the other youth, young generation from other dialogue partners countries. So this is the thing that also we encourage within the ASEAN and ROK. So that's why it's mentioned by Pak Atase Pendidikan just now. In Seoul, there have been ASEAN Korea centers. Yeah, Mr. Judge, it already during my time that establishment in 2007, 2008, when I was there in Seoul. So we encourage also the young people. And we also here, for instance, in ASEAN program, we encourage all of the Gen Z, not only millennia, but also Gen Z, on they can establishing in the participation in the economic, field like the small and medium enterprises, how to become dealing with the digital economy, for establishing a new unicorn within the ASEAN. They are all the young generation now is very mastering, in this skill, compared to me, compared to my to my age. So of course, this is the acknowledgement, of course. Yeah, from the Indonesian side point of view, of course, we are facing the fact that we got what we call it the demographic bonus, 2030. If there is no other opportunity for workplace, what's going to, to happen to reach the 2045 Indonesian vision and also the ASEAN vision next post the ASEAN Community 2025. So that's why I think we need now more and more, the participatory from the youth and all of the leaders like Dennis, as ambassadors youth, you can encourage also all of your peer and then to get or to look into the program that already charted out, within the ASEAN respective pillars, what they think that they have the passionate or maybe the interest in, and they can, submitting to the through the, of course, the mechanism which are for now Indonesia as a chair of the ASEAN. You can proceed and then maybe conveying to the Indonesian Ministry of Foreign Affairs under the Directorate General of the ASEAN Cooperation, for instance, everything from the youth. So we can organize and we can deal with this all of the issue that are concern of the youth, participatory. Yeah.
Thank you, Ambassador. So we can say goodbye now to Dennis. Thank you very much, Dennis, for joining us. Please give a round of applause for Dennis.
Thank you so much.
We wish you all the best to all your pursue, and I'll see you around. So I did not realize now that we are going to have such a very complex and actually it's very active discussion, dynamic discussion. And so it would be not fair for me if I do not give floor to anyone in here. If anyone would like to ask question, we still have our prominent speakers, Mr. Ambassador and as well Mr. Pham from the ASEAN Secretariat. Is there anyone would like to ask? Yes, or Churhat, as Mr. Ambassador say, as the alumni of KOICA. Or is there any question in the chat room? If may I ask for the committee? Oh yeah. The ambassador also, you can ask in Indonesian language as well. Well, I see. I think what has been said so far is quite complex to digest. I think they need time. Oh, there's one question. Could you please step forward and probably introduce your... Yes, please.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Vanda from Polytechnic of Health Sciences Jakarta 1 under Ministry of Health, Republic of Indonesia. I just want to say that last week I had a privilege to attend the short course in Australia for ASEAN because the topic is about giving a digital resilience and digital readiness for training and education sector of vocational field in Indonesia and ASEAN. So I would like to ask probably both of speakers, what do you think about the readiness of our country in ASEAN to develop the digital technology for improving the vocational education sector, especially to boost the graduates after they graduate from their school so that they can compete with the global markets, something like that. What do you think the level of our readiness right now, and what can ASEAN do for ASEAN countries about this matter? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That is a very good question. Now, who would like to answer first? Mr. Ambassador? Please, Mr. Ambassador.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Vanda from the Health Ministry. Well, actually, the health issues now, of course, very vital and becoming the focus for our chairmanships. Even, previously in the G20, yeah. So we continued the program as well as on how, because of not only the dealing with the pandemic issues, the COVID-19, but also the others. So that's why in ASEAN we already having the centers now, the APSCE. So any further detail you can ask Ms. Bika, yeah, here. She is the master on the issue of the ASEAN's health and external. But of course, now how could encourage the digitals, component element into the young generation, in order they can also upgrade or upscale, yeah, not only their skill but also their capacity, yeah, in the world market worldwide, yeah. I think if we see in terms of the paper, in terms of the very bulk of the dossiers, you can see from 1977, even Mr. Pham too started from before 2011. He has in his office so dossier, all elements. What is the need, demand driven, from the stakeholders of ASEAN, that already put well in place there, and the capacity for the respective member states also there. In terms of education, in terms of the information communication technology, they are now spread out in many institute or university, you know, and some of university also will better utilize this, you know, capacity and capabilities throughout, you know, the other stakeholders. For instance, for the small and not micro and small enterprises, you know, surrounding of the community. So Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, they may have already like smart city, smart village. Through smart means that they are dealing with the better use of the digital element of technology in order to communicate, not only communicate, and also how they can deal with this their respective products, for instance, from the village product, from the small and medium scale of size of enterprises, and from the other youths that they might better having this capacity, their skills for making the to economizing, you know, the skill in terms of technology of information and communication. So there are plenty, but now on how we can put to solidify everything together within the ASEAN member state as well as ASEAN member state, and take the opportunity of having the dialogue partners which are maybe more advanced with the ASEAN member states in terms of this respective technology. So as mentioned by our education attaché just now, with Korea, they are dealing with science and also technology and the other industry in terms of the, so Korea among others, you know, very advanced, in terms of this issue. So I think this is my just you know, what I memorizing, you know, from what my experience before. But don't be a very, what we can is nolongso, you know, in Japanese language. Sometimes, you know, that's only talk only, you know. If some of the, you know, spectator in ASEAN, you know, meeting, we have more than thousands meetings every year. And you know how many kilos and tons of dossier after these meetings often. But now we have, you know, our commitment as well on how to execute, you know, everything. And then we made it during the pandemic. In fact, we made it, you know. So because of they have the solidarity and togetherness, we call it under the ASEAN jargon, ASEAN, where we caring and sharing society. That's what we have to always, you know, push to, not only to the ASEAN member states government, but also to other stakeholders, in the grassroots, level.
To add on something, I'm not an expert or researcher on this particular aspect, so I just want to share my thought. Yes, I think digitalization or digital transformation is indeed very important. Actually, it's one of the factors that are changing our way of life, our mode of life. Socially, if you look at how people communicate using social media. Economically, you see how digital economy, e-commerce is performing, important factor to economic growth. At workplace, people, the last 2 years, a lot of meeting, everything activity actually held by video conference. I believe that also have the role of digitalization. Or during COVID, how we utilize this technology to overcome the challenges. And digitalization will continue, I believe, be a very important mega trend in the next 20, 30 years. In the ASEAN vision for the next 20 years, we're also looking at that, how it play the role and how we transform our society. So that said, yeah, I think ASEAN and ASEAN member state, we all know the importance of this digitalization. Actually, it's a very important agenda in ASEAN cooperation. Very important, and I believe we have ASEAN. We have agenda and strategy, and plan of action to promote cooperation in this area. So, and one thing here is there also digital gap. We talk about digitalization. There also digital gap among and between the ASEAN, among ASEAN member states. Some countries are more advanced than other. Even within one country, there are also region is ahead of others. So there the digital gap, and that is one area where, for example, in cooperation with our partner, for example, with Korea, ASEAN is always looking forward to enhance the collaboration and the support from our partner. Korea actually a country which also give a lot of priority to support ASEAN in digitalization and transformation. And also another aspect is also about the negative aspect, the security aspect of digital. We talk about cyber security or cyber crime all the time. So this is also one area where our dialogue partner, country like Korea and Japan, which is very advanced in this area, actually are very keen to support ASEAN. And actually in the last recent year, there are also a number of ASEAN, between ASEAN and our dialogue partner, our joint statement or program on to support ASEAN, and there's ongoing program and project funded by our dialogue partner, including by Korea, to support ASEAN in this important aspect. So I hope that I just add on some point to your question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pham and Ambassador, for your very elaborate answer. And let me invite for another set of questions. Is there anyone would like to ask? I think is the committee preparing a prize for anyone asking? Please, if anyone would like to ask any question, while we have our prominent speakers here. Is there? I think I see some eyes are actually encouraging to ask. Please, would you like to ask? Okay, I'm still giving the floor, please. Okay, since I think to wait for anyone getting courage to ask questions, I would like to ask questions now to Mr. Pham. You have heard now from other speakers as well as, and in fact, as a matter of fact, in front of you, there are solid number of KOICA alumni here. And you've heard that with Korea, we have the Forum for Youth, we have ASEAN Korea Center, as well as KOICA providing a lot of capacity building and scholarship. My question would be, would you endorse this kind of cooperation with ASEAN and Korea to other dialogue partners, and why? Because these mechanisms that are provided here, some of them are giving testimony that this is the platform that we need. This is beneficial for ASEAN. Would you endorse this to other dialogue partners to follow Korea to make the same mechanism in ASEAN? Please, Mr. Pham.
That's a very interesting question. Indeed, I think now, first of all, I must say that our ASEAN cooperation with our external partner, we have 11 dialogue partner and about 7 or 8 other partner. And for those dialogue partners, usually our cooperation are also very comprehensive. Yes. From the political security areas to economic, trade, investment, tourism, and also to the other, what we call people-to-people contacts, people-to-people exchange, people-to-people relation, which is including those areas, for example, education or youth exchange or cultural cooperation. So other dialogue partner, they also have people-to-people relation. They have also educational youth exchange. That said, I think each dialogue partner also may have their own, they have their strengths. Let me say about Korea, I think Korea have also had its very unique strengths compared with the other dialogue partner. And one of those is actually is about people-to-people relation. People-to-people contacts. I don't know, is it partly because of those Korean pop culture or yes, it could be.
Probably,
yes,
probably.
Movie and Korean pop. Yes, but then again, the people-to-people relation pillar is very important in ASEAN-Korea cooperation, which including education with providing scholarship or to help in human resources development, like providing vocational training to ASEAN member states, or youth exchange. Youth exchange is very important because it's the youth will become the main generation who drive everything from economic growth to relation among countries, right? So in Korea, we have at least the two very prominent platform, ASEAN-Korea Center, which is based in Seoul, and also the ASEAN Cultural House. Need to say that ASEAN, with several other dialogue partners, we also have the ASEAN Center. We have the ASEAN Center with China, ASEAN-China Center based in Beijing. We also have the ASEAN-Japan Center. And we also, I think we have also one with Russia. Yes. So ASEAN Center with some development partner we have beside Korea, we have with a few other, and their role are actually more or less is about to promote the relationship, cooperation between ASEAN and dialogue partner. But it's only Korea has the ASEAN Culture House. That is very unique to Korea. That shows how the important that Korean government, I think in 2016, 2017, attached to this aspect of cooperation with ASEAN. So I cannot say whether I would endorse this to other dialogue partner or not. But if any dialogue partner want to have established ASEAN Cultural House in their home country, I would be very much welcome and appreciate it, because this is one very good way, very important platform to promote the understanding and awareness of the culture of ASEAN and ASEAN member state in the country. Actually, myself, I have been to the ASEAN Cultural House in Busan several times, 2 times I think. I visited 2 times, including at the launch in 2017. So this is a very unique initiative from Korea. It shows how Korea attaches importance to this aspect. Yes, but then go back to your question. I would welcome other countries to do the same, because it's very good for ASEAN to promote the awareness and ASEAN in the region and the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pham. Mr. Ambassador, I cannot hold myself from observing that you are very affirmative when Mr. Pham said about K-pop. So, in light of that, this is a very simple question. Do you think this cultural connection between Indonesia and Korea, for example, like the K-pop fans and something like that, based on your observation, do you think is it right now undercapitalized, or is it right now being a good actually assets for the bilateral relations between Indonesia or even ASEAN and Korea? Well, how do you think? Please share with us about your view about this.
Well, in terms of the international relations, if countries establish the relations bilaterally with other countries, in this case, for instance, Indonesia and Korea, yeah, Republic of Korea, then there are many aspects that has to be capitalized, in order to give a very fruitful outcome to the relationship, and also beneficial for the respective countries, not only for the states but also for the peoples. So sometimes issues beyond the political aspect is very much engaging, because like cultural relationship, it could touch upon the heart of the people. Yeah, compare with the, for instance, economy, of course, to the people, but mostly for the business people, and then the government would be encouraged to provide facilitation, for instance, and in terms of the negotiation in reduction or liberal trade, negotiation, for instance, to reduce the cost. But the other thing, if it is too high in politics, it's so sensitive, and it doesn't always encourage or invite people to be, becoming the participant, to these issues. Sometimes even in the respective domestic, they have pro and cons, to the issue of, even if there is any dispute issues for both countries. But the cultural as an aspect of public diplomacy, I think it's very important thing. And the more important is if could be monetizing as well, for the benefit of the respective communities. So that's why this is what I learned from Korea. The Hallyu wave, even Gangnam style, being also acted by Kim Bae-yoon, the Secretary General of UN, when he was also the former Foreign Minister of Korea, That's so because of the government and all the stakeholders also participatory, from their part respectively. So encouraging all these kind of cultural activities, including the K-pop, for instance. So this has to be, of course, observed by other countries like Indonesia. What exactly the Indonesian K-pop? Just like the culinary. What kind of culinary that Indonesia could, serve or provide for the international market, for instance? We tried several times, But if you go to the Korean restaurant, you can get exactly the similar menu in any restaurant. Kalbi tang, if you want it just only, only the rice and the, like beside bulgogi. So many students just only order this one. Kimbap, Yes. They order only very, very tasty, right? And some of the ASEAN members, they're also having this, customizing of the menu, like Thai restaurant or Vietnamese restaurant, they may have. But Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, the Philippines, not to mention the Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos, they may have many things from their all respective ethnic groups. Ingredient is similar, coconut milk. They produce also coconut trees and also some of the vegetables that they may have. But how to serve and how to cook is very different. So that's why, well, we have to learn, from what like Korean do in terms of advancing their potentials in this cultural aspect, in the pop. Dangdut, whether it's dangdut or in Malaysia, Malaysian style of dangdut, similar in India, an Indian style of dangdut, for example. But Indian, Malaysian and Indonesian dangdut maybe could be also distinct, each other. What again? In USA, we have a grass, what we call this grass music, right? Like grass music style, like the cowboy style, during the time. In Italian, we have, the models specifically on their own. But for Indonesia, we have to also thinking about what kind of Indonesian K-pop that could be, well managed and be spread out into the international market, for instance. So this is thinking on all of our musicians and artists as well, But government has to also give but now we have the creative ministries already, So that's why we're trying. We have 14 creative industry that including the music as well, and that beside like fashion or games, or movie. But now we consider on how we encourage, and then it also, shared into the ASEAN's meeting on the ASEAN creative industry as well. They're already becoming one or more becoming the ASEAN Fuse, on having the ASEAN K-pop, for instance. So this is very important for us to consider.
Thank you, Ambassador, for sharing your view with us. Now we have one question from the chat room. So I will read this one. This is coming from Melody Andong from Philippines. Digitalization and innovation on information technology is indeed beneficial, especially the access of youth to the available information in the World Wide Web. On the other hand, there's an accompanying risk as well to this access of information. Is there any policy measures or safety nets that are being put in place by ASEAN or ROK to safeguard our youth from the risk of digital information pollution that may affect mental health? So, Mr. Pham, I know you have said before that you're not an expert in this issue, but my question would be whether ASEAN and dialogue partners has any mechanism to actually address this, about this youth with the digital, with the World Wide Web, with the internet. Please, Mr. Pham.
I think, again, I'm not an expert or directly involved in this area of digital technology, but as far as I know, yes, ASEAN, we have the special, I think, dedicated body to do with digital. Actually, there have been, this is the ASEAN, I can't recall the name accurately, but it's a digital meeting of ASEAN. And actually, the recent meeting was in earlier this year in, if I'm not mistaken, in the Philippines. So, yes, ASEAN have a body to discuss the digital matter. Digital matter is a very cross-cutting and big area. It's not on just one specific. So there is the digital, the economic aspect, right? Digital economy, and also they have the political security aspect, digital like cyber security. So there's many cross-cutting area. So we have such a body, and then go to the aspect of in the question about mental health. I believe this is also covered by the health mechanism of ASEAN, because mental health is also one of the aspect of health. So for health, of course, we have the ASEAN Health Ministerial meeting, and also ASEAN Plus 3 also, ASEAN Plus 3 Health Minister meeting with China, with Japan, with Korea. So that is including all the aspects, including mental health. And specifically, I think 2 years ago, I think during the Brunei chairmanship of ASEAN, there was also initiative by Brunei and to put forward the adoption of a leader statement plus 3 or ES, yes, leader statement on mental health, because it's recognizing the importance of the mental health issue rising mainly from the during the COVID, the pandemic. There was one which is calling for cooperation and attention and support to the people in need in ASEAN on regard to mental health. Yes. So I hope that is somehow satisfies your question. Basically, we have the attention, we have some body, and we have some specific also commitment to address this issue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pham. So unfortunately, I think we are at the end of our session now, but I'm not going to summarize our discussion because it was very comprehensive. But what I can say is that we can be optimistic that ASEAN is going forward, and especially with the support of their its dialogue partners, we believe that ASEAN is moving forward. And me personally, I believe we can fulfill the theme of the ASEAN Matters, Epicentrum of Growth. But before I close this session, I would like to give another round of just a short message, probably from Mr. Pham or Ambassador. What do you want to say to all the participants, to all these ASEAN's youths, to all these ASEAN's who has some faith with the ASEAN mechanism? What do you want to say? Please, Ambassador.
Just a very short, appeal to all of the alumni of the KOICA, especially you are part of the intellectuals, of Indonesia, because we are here now Indonesians, yeah. But I believe there are also others alumni of KOICA in the ASEAN member states, yeah. So the thing is, the ASEAN issues, the ASEAN matters, or the matters of ASEAN, they're, across the board of every kind of activities in our life. We have the National Secretariat, for instance. They cover all of the ministerial level as well as the institutional level. So that's why I think no one can just isolate it from the issue of ASEAN. So that's why we always, manage to bring these matters to the stakeholders, especially among the very respected, people like you. Yeah. So, what's your contribution, for the management of ASEAN matters? Maybe now in our chairmanships, and how to bring the team like as ASEAN as epicenter of growth to become the real one, to materialize it, within our respective role in our job or in our work or in our daily activities. So that is a important contribution from you. Thank you.
Please, Mr. Pham.
Yes. Just want to say again that actually ASEAN and Korea is we are good friends and very good partner. And our relationship is long-standing, more than 30 years, 34 years now. Next year will become 35th year. And there was also a very strong commitment between the two sides to enhance the cooperation in the many aspects, as what we just mentioned, from trade, from economic to social, to people. And Korea has a lot of strengths to offer for ASEAN. And I just want to share that right now there is a very big commitment from the government of Korea. Because the Korean government had just launched the name is Korea ASEAN Solidarity Initiative. In short term is KASI, something similar to Terima Kasih, which is a very important initiative of Korea to enhance relation with ASEAN. Basically, recognize the important role of ASEAN in our region, in the Indo-Pacific region. And then we develop many programs and projects to support ASEAN in this aspect. It's very much related to what we call the Indo-Pacific region. I won't go further to that. So there's a lot of potential. And right now we are working very hard to prepare for next year. Next year will be 35th anniversary of ASEAN-Korea relation. And we are preparing to even bring ASEAN-Korea cooperation to even further heights. So there are a lot of project or program going on. So basically there's a lot of potential and also commitment. So that's what I want to talk about ASEAN-Korea. So the last thing I want to say that if you want to have know more about ASEAN-Korea relation as well as ASEAN, about ASEAN in general, also about ASEAN-Korea and ASEAN relation with dialogue partner, please visit the ASEAN website. There's a lot of news and which is updated daily. And if you look at the website right now today, actually this morning there was the welcoming of the new ambassador of Korea to ASEAN. I was there. So there's the new ambassador of Korea to ASEAN just came to ASEAN Secretariat and assumed office this morning. That's one of the news. So that will start a very good relationship, and a lot of work is going on to further improve the relationship, and very much positive and confident about that. Thank you. And finally, I just wish everyone it's good health and success in your career and the position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pham. Thank you, Ambassador. Please give one last round of applause. And now I would like to give the floor back to our Mr. MC to continue with the next agenda. Please. Thank you.
Okay, Jake, thank you for the moderator and the speakers. And ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for the speakers and moderators. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned earlier, we have the most weighted agenda. So now is for the door prize session. Oke, kita akan memilih 4 pemenang. Ada 4 pemenang. Kita udah lihat tadi. Hadiahnya luar biasa sekali ya. Wow, luar biasa. Akan ada 4 pemenang yang akan dipilih, nanti akan diundi. Nanti panitia akan mengundi nama dari semua yang hadir secara offline. Jadi buat buat rekan-rekan yang hadir secara online, mohon maaf boleh kita nonton aja di sini gimana teman-teman yang datang offline di sini. Oke, panitia langsung diputar ya. Untuk ini ada Wheel of Name. Siap. Kita akan undi untuk 2 orang pemenang yang pertama. Oke, for the first one, Samsul Arifin. Oke. Boleh maju ke depan Mas Samsul Arifin. Oke, langsung maju aja Mas ke depan. Langsung. Oke, the next one. Vivi. Oke, Mbak Vivi ada di depan. Mbak Vivi. Mbak Vivi 1. Mbak Vivi 2. Oke. Oke, selamat kepada Mbak Vidya Lestari. Boleh maju ke depan Mbak Vidya Lestari dan juga Mas Samsul Arifin. Kami mohon perkenan kepada Bapak Surat Indri Jaso untuk dapat memberikan hadiah kepada 2 orang pemenang door prize kali ini. Kepada Pak Surat kami persilakan. Oke. Boleh maju ke depan.
Selamat ya.
Oke. Oke, we still have 2 more winner. Oke, kita akan undi sekali lagi untuk mendapatkan sebuah hadiah yang luar biasa sekali. Di sini saya pegang. Boleh diputar teman-teman panitia? Oke, kita masih menunggu. Oke. Ferianda Utami. Kepada Mbak Ferianda boleh maju ke depan. Kami mohon perkenan kepada Bapak Foster Gultom. Kepada Bapak Foster Gultom untuk dapat berkenan memberikan hadiah kepada pemenang.
Kirain mau diberikan hadiah. Jadi ingat sama Korea ya. Bluetooth speaker. Selamat ya.
Oke, thank you for Mr. Foster Gultom dan selamat kepada Mbak Ferianda Utami. Oke, the last one. Kita akan putar sekali lagi untuk pemenang door prize yang utama. Siti Rosida. Oke, congratulations. To the Miss Pamintu, please come to the stage to give the prize for the winner. Okay, thank you. Congratulations for the winners. Kita akan beralih ke acara berikutnya. Kita akan photo session. Setelah ini kita akan melakukan foto bersama kepada para tamu undangan. Mohon perkenannya untuk maju ke depan. For Mr. Lee Jungwook, Mr. Surat Indrijaso, Mr. Foster Gultom, and Mr. Pamintu, please welcome to the stage to get the photo session. Buat kepada para undangan boleh maju ke depan, kita akan foto bersama. Sekali lagi kami mohon perkenannya untuk tamu undangan, juga panitia yang ada di luar boleh maju ke depan, kita akan melakukan foto bersama. Oke, terima kasih kepada tamu undangan atas kesediaannya untuk kita foto bersama. Ladies and gentlemen, and that brings us to the end of today's event. On behalf of KOSA, we would like to once again thank you for making time to join us here today. I'm Andrian, your host, signing off. See you and goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.